Hey guys, welcome back to Card Crunchers podcast. This is episode 11, and I'm joined with Pokemike. So, quite a lot has happened this week. The One Ring, obviously, is the biggest news that's probably drawn in everyone in from across all different TCGs. People have been posting that it has been found, and PSA have graded it, and it got a 9 as well. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm surprised it went to PSA, if I'm honest with you. With what Beckett were offering and doing for the card, I don't know why someone would send it to PSA. Maybe they didn't know. I'd be very surprised if they didn't know about Beckett and what they were doing. So, for anyone that doesn't know, do you want to explain what BGS were planning to do?
Yeah, so BGS offered the best package. PSA actually never stated about grading it. Obviously, we know that they would grade it, but BGS actually made a proper package. So they'd fly you out to get it graded in person with return flights. There was a special BGS slab with it, and they showed it off before, and it was in Elven language, and it had 10 as well. So I don't know if it was going to be essentially like an authenticated 10. Straight off the bat, there was a signed one-of-one playmat made up for it, which I don't know what's going to be done with now. They were going to also offer vouchers for future grading. There was 4 collector boxes of future releases. I'm not sure if that was every release or just the next couple of ones. And they were offering money as well. I think it was $10,000. So the whole package itself was big.
Yeah.
And PSA never publicly made a package. So I imagine people were talking with PSA about, were there up charges, for instance? I mean, it's a card of value, right? There probably was going to be up charges. If it's worth $2 million, as the highest bounty was, that would definitely mean that the up charges probably were significant. But we don't know privately what they announced. They might in future let us know what package was made, but
Yeah.
to me, it seemed like somebody that had never graded a card before, and all their mates probably went, "No, you've got to grade with PSA. They're the biggest company." So, yeah, it's interesting.
It's weird because I even thought yesterday I was thinking, is someone going to crack the PSA 9 and send it to BGS for all the stuff that they get? And we've just got my cat walking past me.
Oh, cat's back.
He's back on the podcast.
Yeah, this is gonna get everyone's gonna just wants to just see the cat now.
He's probably we're back. Right, yeah. So what do you think of the PSA 9? I am wondering, like, will people actually, will someone buy this and crack it? Obviously, there's a huge risk that you damage the card, a 2 million card, while you crack the PSA slab. But also, I feel like the majority of people know that it just looks so much better. Like the custom label, it's done in a black label style as well. And like you said, I think that black label style and the 10 on it is just like generic. Like no matter what, it's a one-of-one card, and they're going to put that on there potentially. That's the way I saw it anyway. But yeah, do you think someone's going to crack it and send it to BGS?
They might not crack it. They might straight up just cross grade it.
Yeah, sorry,
right? Because,
yeah. You don't need to, do you? Yeah.
It depends. I mean, we don't know. Obviously, we know that a couple of stores had offered bounties, and rumor has it as well. Post Malone is involved. He wants the card, but he never made a public offer. But he never has done for anything. It's usually done privately, and then so it'll be interesting to see what it actually sells for as well. Because the 2 million, if the card stores were offering 2 million to people to send it to them once they pulled it, that's different than grading it with PSA and then sending it to them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, BGS, it should have gone to BGS, honestly. And this only tells me that the person that graded it either has no knowledge of grading or does have knowledge but collects like Pokemon, because Pokemon's most of the time PSA, whereas with Magic the Gathering is always been considered something that you grade with BGS. Obviously, there are PSA slabs, but most people like Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited, and that all gets graded with BGS. So yeah, it's a strange one, honestly. It was so when I found out about it being found. Obviously, I posted it on my stories, and I had quite a lot of people saying that, source basically. Obviously, the person I was told by, it was told to me privately. So there wasn't much details, but it was said that it would be announced the next day, which it was. And apparently it's been at PSA for over a week, so it was pulled before the set actually came out, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Basically, with Magic the Gathering, when they do the pre-releases, like you do in Pokemon or any other card game, stores will get a large amount of their stock on the pre-release for release, and then they're able to sell that. That's not you have to sell it on X date.
Yeah.
Stores can just sell it whenever. So a lot of the products actually hit before the initial release. So I'm thinking that it probably got released from the stock that came during the pre-releases, which is strange because that's the first wave of product, and everyone thought that it would come in a later wave, or the gift bundles was something that a lot of people thought, because they went up to $200 and $250, which was times 5 retail.
Yeah.
Because people thought. So it's interesting to see. Box prices have started to not crash; they've just come down. The actual distro price for these boxes is more expensive than I think every set. It's about £307, £309 after VAT per box. So I can't see boxes dropping much more than they're at about 320, 330 now. So I'd imagine they're probably people expecting a crash, but the amount of people buying, this isn't going to be a crash because people want to buy it. So
yeah, well, there's other cards that have value in, isn't there? Like there's some other serialized cards. He's back again.
He loves it. He loves it.
Yeah, like there's no obviously I get that it's gonna drop because that card's pulled, but there's still plenty more in there. That you can get some really good value back if you hit them, and just if you like Lord of the Rings, if you like, you're just gonna want to open it and see what the fuss is about, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't think.
Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that there's definitely enough in this set for the price to remain. People wanted it to crash just so they could buy more, which I understand, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Like it's doing what you would expect it to do, given what's happened. So, yeah, of course, there's going to be a few people out there that bought speculatively and bought some sealed to keep it in case it doesn't get pulled, and that will go up. But yeah, it's very interesting that it came from sort of like pre-release product, like you said. There was even I saw a lot of people speculating that it's coming from this product later, that comes out later because they want to build it up and keep prices high, keep sales up. So I think it's actually good that it shows that they're not doing that sort. It's not manipulation, but it just shows that it was random. It was just random, and they haven't sort of planned it ahead and tried to do anything that's in a bit of a grey area or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool that it came out of some early product. There was a few other grading companies that made some offers. I think was MGC the first one that came out with an offer?
I think yes. I think MGC were the first. They offered £10,000. I think.
Yeah, it was just a £10,000. Well, yeah, £10,000 bounty to grade it with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it. I saw like a Facebook post about it, and a lot of people were commenting, and I said, oh, it's just a PR stunt. Like everyone was getting like, frustrated. Like, why would they do this? Like, no one's going to use them and grade it. And I was like, yeah, but just publicity, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I don't think realistically they thought someone would grade it with them, but it got everyone commenting, it got everyone talking, and it got their name out there a bit for that moment of in time. So I think that was their purpose.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's all it was. I mean, we brought it up on the podcast now, so it's another avenue for them being advertised. But I think any companies that were sort of doing that, it was all a PR stunt. I mean, the One Ring itself, anyway, it was a PR stunt for. It was a PR stunt for Magic. All the people that were offering bounties, were they serious or not? We don't know. I mean, it's been graded now, so they probably won't buy it. So, it was all a PR stunt. But yeah, great publicity for MGC because it gets people talking, as you said, and it gets people remembering, what the company is.
So you don't think those bounties that were out there for 2 million, you don't think they want the card now because it's already been graded? That was only if it was raw.
No, I don't think they wanted the card. I think the only serious offer I would have thought of would be DA Cardwell, just because of the size of that store. They're big enough to be able to do that, and I've actually seen them. They've actually offered bounties for sports cards in the past and have paid. So that's the only reason why I thought that they were serious about their offer. Whereas there was a card store in Spain. There's not a card store in Spain that has 2 million, and that not just in the bank. I mean, I'm sure that it was going to be a loan, but I can't see a card store in Spain being able to get a loan of 2 million euros to offer for a card. That's just Spain's economy isn't good enough for that. But yeah, I think it was just a PR stunt. Just get stores. People are talking about them. So the whole thing itself. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anybody actually buys it now. That's the question.
So, I mean, you've seen the series on Netflix of Golden Auctions. Do you think they're going to... I mean, it seems they're going to want to try and find an auction this card. Like, it's just what they do. They want those... This exact card is a perfect card for them to auction and market, and they always want these types of cards. Do you think it'll end up on there?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good shout, actually.
Yeah.
This is the kind of item that they would want on there.
Yeah.
It's a big item. It's a big PR. So they're probably behind the scenes right now. They probably were behind the scenes before working on it. It's just, would I would imagine that they would have made a public offer for it before to auction it with them. I would have imagined they would have done a public offer saying, if you get this, authenticated and graded, because there's cards that get brought to them that obviously, as they showed on the series, that they then contact PSA, get it graded with them. So I imagine that would have been a similar process. So I don't know if now it's graded. I mean, what are the other options really? eBay, Heritage, they're not really big enough. PWCC. Yeah, I think Golden's probably the best bet, just because of the nature of what they've sort of auctioned in the past, and they're moving more into TCGs, not just sports cards and like memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a good shout. It'd be interesting to see if it does go up, because if you're selling this card, you want it to get the highest price possible, and the only way you're going to get that is by having it seen globally by people that aren't just into card games, but people that are into big ticket items. So Golden's definitely for sure the best bet.
Maximum exposure. That's what it's all about. And
absolutely,
it would just be amazing to be able to watch it, and like that's the kind of stuff we love doing. Is just watching those. We're never going to bid on that, but it's so fun to see what happens, how much it goes for. if it hits 2 million, if it goes over 2 million, if it goes for less than 2 million, all of those things are just really interesting to watch, especially for a 1-of-1 card. So yeah, I mean, I hope they get it so we can watch that live and see it all unfold. But I think you're right. It's kind of odd that they haven't put out anything to say, like they have done with other cards in the past. Like, if you get this, here's the offer. The same as sort of like BGS did for the card. So yeah, I mean, maybe it went under the radar a bit for them, but I'd be surprised just because of how public it had been. But maybe it did go under the radar. Maybe they're just busy working on loads of other things and didn't know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're aware of it now. It must be.
Yeah, they definitely are. As I said, that'd be a really interesting thing to watch. As anyone that has an interest in the hobby, in trading card games, honestly, it'd be such a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, I really hope it does, because I do want to see it. I mean, the person who pulled it, I can only assume that they're going to want to sell it. Do you know who it was?
No, it's not public. The person that pulled it is, their details haven't been disclosed. I don't know. I assume that's because they want to stay private.
Yeah, it makes sense.
For many reasons. It could just be, it was supposedly be pulled in a store in Canada. That seems to be the story that everyone's going with. So it'd be interesting to see, find out who has it and if somebody does buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive card. There's definitely going to be a limited pool of buyers, but I'd imagine the majority of people who had the chance and got lucky enough, such as them, to pull it would then sell it, because $2 million isn't just the average thing for the average person. So
no,
it would be fun wherever it gets sold. It would be fun to see what happens with it. But yeah, that's the 2 million One Ring found, graded with PSA. So I've noticed recently that I've seen this a lot on social media. There's a lot of Japanese sealed box scams going on with Pokemon. Loads of people opening up Japanese boxes that are filled with just nothing, or old wood packs and just random packs that have nothing in. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw that. It's quite worrying. That's happening a lot. It's not just that either. It's a lot of stores are buying, having their product, like Pokemon 151, for instance.
Yeah.
And they're getting scammed. They're not even getting sent anything. A couple of stores. One store spent 50 grand, and they got scammed. There's quite a couple of stores in the US that are quite known, and in Europe that had bought product that has been scammed. And obviously there's a lot of people that are getting fake product and resealed product, which was supposed to not be able to happen because Pokemon changed the way that they made their boxes. So you have the little strip seal now. But people realize you can get in from the side. So Pokemon need to go back to the drawing board. If they're going to have these sets in such high demand, these Japanese sets, they need to figure out a way. We have the Pokeball logo for the English boxes. It doesn't completely stop it being resealed, but it's very hard to replicate. And even if you keep the seal back and reseal it, it's a lot easier to notice if an English box is being resealed, especially modern, compared to Japanese, which usually is just a clear seal. So there's definitely, I imagine that they're probably working it right now. There's no way they haven't seen the amount of backlash that's been going on right now with these scams. Do you think the people scamming the resale boxes, for instance, not the taking the money in there, Do you think they've been in the hobby for a while, or do you reckon they've entered the hobby recently because of the demand?
Yeah, I don't know. I think just the prices in general always attracts those types of people, doesn't it? When people know
Yeah.
there's free tendies to be made, even if it is a scamming someone situation, those people just appear, or they've been in it and try and take advantage of that situation. But yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine they're probably more new people because you've got a reputation, don't you, if you've been in it for a while, and you know the prices are high enough to make a lot of profit on. So you don't. So you don't need to do that. If you're someone who's been, built up a customer base and have contacts and things like that you regularly sell to, it wouldn't make sense to burn all those bridges just for one product. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's hard because you're buying from people in Japan. You're super restricted with communication or just any sort of protection in general. Buying from Japan has always been fairly solid because of how well the Japanese sellers are in terms of describing products. Like the condition's always good. If there's damage, it's always disclosed. Like, kind of goes in line with their culture and how strict they are with rules and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's always been really easy most of the time to buy from sellers in Japan. But now that this has happened, it changes it a bit, doesn't it? Because now people have to be cautious. Like, even if you're buying on buy.jp, once you've committed to buy an item, if you pay for inspection and or even if you don't pay for inspection, once you've committed to purchase it, you can't cancel your order. Like, even if you haven't then shipped it to you and it's arrived at their warehouse, you can't tell them that you want to return it, even if it was just like, I don't want it anymore. They don't do that. Like, you can't return items. I guess the only exception is if they inspect it and they say it's fine, and then it arrives and it's not, it's damaged. I'd imagine that's where you can get some sort of refund, but other than that, you can't really return things. It's not part of the policy. So you are really restricted with sort of like just terms in general when you buy from Japan. I do worry. I do think. Will this spark the decline of the Japanese hype? Do you think? Will this put people off?
Yeah, I definitely think it must put some people off, right? I mean, some of the things that I've seen as well, supposedly saying that a lot of this resale product is coming direct from distribution level, which, if true, would be worrying, because
how would that happen?
That's suggesting Pokemon send it to these distributors, because the way the distribution works in Japan, it's not like here where you got Asmodee, where you said Pokemon sent it to Asmodee sent it to you. They've got like the distribution level is a bit different. I'm not 100% sure the details, but I know it's not the same. But that suggests that Pokemon's got so in demand, they know there's so much money being made that there are people in these distribution, either the whole distribution unit themselves or staff that work in the distribution level.
Yeah.
They're then tampering with these products. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would work. That would have to mean there was stuff from the top, really, wouldn't it? Because, an average employee wouldn't be able to just reseal boxes and take out the packs and stuff, so that suggests to me that if this is true, it would be the actual distributor, the actual company themselves. And this is Japanese though. Yeah, I mean, this is a couple of Japanese stores that have said this, that they've posted that they've got product before they've sold it. So I guess it's going to be a case of, do you trust all these stores, or do you just trust distribution? Really, I mean, you'd want to be able to trust distribution, right? That's not a good thing if they're sending resealed. I understand. I understand by any account why anybody would scam, actually, because the amount of money that's involved. You just said about, obviously, you want to keep a reputation, but the profit margins for the average Japanese box before the boom was quite small. I mean, boxes were around 4,000 to 5,000 yen a box, which was around 28 to £35. They would sell it for stores, and stores would be selling it for about 45, 50 here. So the actual stores themselves over in Japan weren't probably making very much money. I don't know what their cost price is from distribution level. That'd be interesting to find that out. But yeah, I think if stores are like getting scammed of 50 grand in one hit, they might have done that. Say they did it to 10 stores, that's 500 grand they've just run away with. Yeah, obviously it's not right, but I can understand why. They've probably been planning it for a while if that's what they're doing. An exit scam, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's quite a common thing as well, that people just burn. Well, they get either bored of the hobby, or they see an opportunity to make a lot of money in one go and think, this is it. I'll end my reputation for 100k or something.
Yeah.
But from a distribution point, it's like they're obviously doing really well because they're selling so much, and they've obviously got a whole business set up for it. To me, it seems too much of a reach, unless it's an employee. The thing is, once you've done that, that's it, because that store, it just seems weird, because that store's obviously going to know that you've done it. Like, you send that product out, that store knows. They then go public with it. It just comes straight back to the distributor. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was true, how many people are going to believe a store over a distribution level? You know what I mean? If it's a local card store, they'll just say that the store is scamming and they'll discredit them. So that's why it's very hard to know which side. It makes more sense for it to be a store that's doing it rather than a distribution level, because it's a far reach to say that. But where do things have happened in the hobby? I mean, cards have been stolen from the factory. So
exactly.
It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. I mean, neither of us really we don't actively collect Japanese Pokemon modern anyway. So I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people that get a lot of product safely. Which is, I think having that reputation, and having that kind of that connection, that networking, I suppose now is even more important and probably even more valued than ever, honestly. But it's a shame, especially a lot of these stores that not only are they getting resale product, but a lot of these stores that are, paying 10, 15, 25, 50k and not getting anything, because they've obviously got to then refund all their customers and they're 50k out of the pocket. And I'd hedge a bet and say 99% of stores, if they took a 50k loss in a day, that's them done. There's no way they can recover. The profit margins on average, for all these stores is going to be very slim, and 50k is, they probably worked a hell of a lot hard to get that 50k. It might even been a loan. They might have got a loan against their business to get this 50k, because they knew that Pokemon 5151 is a big set.
Yeah.
So I mean, for anybody that's watching, I suppose, if there's any store owners, just be a little bit careful. I know it can be quite easy to get carried away with the hype and think, well, if I can supply this product, I can this could sort me out for the year, really. But, it's very, it's very choppy waters right now, and it's a very high risk, high reward situation that we've got.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's purely because you're buying from Japan, really, isn't it? Because you just wouldn't have that issue with English distro. Like it wouldn't, you wouldn't get scammed 50k from a distro in the US and England and stuff. But also that's where a lot of the demand comes from, because people don't want to take the risk and buy from Japan, so they buy from a store who's taken that risk, and they pay a little bit more. Well, a little bit more. They pay quite a lot more for the product because so many people want it, and without the imports, the risk, finding contacts, mail forwarding. I get it. I get. Like it's another reason that just shows why people don't want to go through all of that hassle to order from Japan themselves. I don't know. Maybe if anything, it gets more people buying from stores that already have imported it. I don't know. I guess we will see what happens. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, it's I mean, box prices. I don't know if you've been keeping up on the box prices of Pokemon 151.
No,
but I believe they're around £200 a box on eBay now.
200.
So, yeah. So obviously, I'm going to revert back because I was thinking about this actually the last week on a bit, and I'm going to revert back to the episode where me and you both said that Pokemon English product being announced at the same time, them doing print to demand, that's helped keep the price down. But in actuality, obviously, we can look at that now and go, that did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because boxes have gone up to 200. Obviously, the print to demand, people want products in their hand. I mean, you see thousands of boxes with these streamers, and they're obviously opening up. They're doing 10, 15, £20 a pack now for, it's just mad, honestly. It's absolutely mad. And I think I look back at when boxes were on release, boxes were what, £65, £70, £75 on Buy or on Macari. They've just absolutely skyrocketed. There is a reprint announced for July, but I don't know how big that reprint is. It's going to have to be a hefty reprint, like probably the same size as the initial print.
Yeah.
For it to even do a thing, because the demand for this set is ridiculous. Obviously, it's a fantastic set, don't get me wrong, but English product comes out in September. I know. My advice would be just wait, but I know no one's going to listen to that because the FOMO hits. Yeah. Suddenly someone's just spent 10 grand on their credit card on Pokemon 151, and yeah, I mean, I haven't looked too much at the single prices, but I don't know. I actually know what like the most expensive cards in the set are, but yeah, honestly, I guess I'm lost for words at this point. I don't really know what to say. It's gone beyond levels of my scope, to be honest. I never thought that we'd see something like this, but yeah, it's happened. So
yeah, I mean, it is just that demand for wanting to be first, wanting to open the newest thing, wanting to have the newest cards, wanting to post about it. And like you said, the whole streaming and pack opening side of things, it's just that adds more to it. Like people want to go on there. If boxes are that expensive, they can go on there and just grab a couple of packs, can't they?
yeah.
So it does kind of fill a gap, but also drives up the price because those streamers are the ones that need to buy, hundreds of boxes to open because the demand's there. I mean, if they released it at the same time, wouldn't be as bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
But I can't see that happening. To be honest, it's just they would have done that ages ago if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, if they wanted to do that, and it kind of circles back to cementing, what we said about before on the podcast is everyone's so hyped up and crazy with Japanese that they're kind of forgetting about English. And I mean, English Scarlet Violet and Paldea Evolved boxes are now £94 a box. That's ridiculously cheap. That's on Chaos Card. So if you've got the Chaos Card Gold member or whatever, you get points back on it. I can't remember how many points that equates to, but
that's on Chaos.
Yeah, that's on Chaos.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's not like just a random store. Yeah, I mean, I've bought one of each set.
Yeah.
Just because it's stupid at that point. I mean, that's near close to distribution price.
Yeah.
So, and it shows the demand from what a couple of stores that I've spoken to. They've said that Scarlet and Violet is like it's dropped. Like nobody wants English Scarlet Violet. Everyone's so hyped with the Japanese product that they've just got so much English product that's available. And I mean, I guess you got to ask yourselves, are they good sets or not? There's no where they've changed the pull rates. They've changed the whole setup of the set. Yeah. Scarlet Violet, the most expensive card, is £50.
Yeah.
There's no chasers, so people don't want it.
Yeah.
Paldea Evolved, I think it's a little bit more because you've got again another waifu. But there's so many nice cards in the Paldea Evolved set anyway. So I think it's a solid set. I think it's definitely better than Rebel Clash was when that came out. And look at box prices for Rebel Clash.
It's over 200 now. I literally
that's what you got to say, really.
Ago. Like £230, I think, last sold.
Yeah, that's it.
And yeah, I mean, if there's no demand for it, you know what happens, right? It just gets underprinted. Like you said earlier, they're reprinting 151, and if they to make a dent, they need to do just as much as they did on the release, right? So all that says is, even 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the line, there's going to be tons of 151 Japanese. There's going to be hardly any of Scarlet and Violet English sets because the demand's not there. So they're not going to print, they're not getting reprints because no one's buying it. It's going to be like in comparison, the print levels are going to be so off because, it's just, why would they print loads of Scarlet and Violet if no one's buying it? They're not going to do that. But then you go, you fast forward a few years, people will start to realise, there's actually not much of this Scarlet and Violet English flying around. And that's when the prices start going up and people start wanting it because they want what they can't have. And what they can't have right now is 151. What they can have is Scarlet and Violet. 2 years later, it's going to be the other way around.
Yeah, it's, the quote from Beauty and the Beast, tale old as time, really. And it happens every single time, all the time. Yeah. It's, you look at when Pokemon was overprinted in XY, nobody wanted that Roaring Skies at the time. You only watch Rudy's, bathroom Pokemon video. You look at Sun and Moon, Crimson Invasion, when that dropped, it was massively printed. Nobody wanted it. Those boxes are still about 170, 180 a box now. So I know Japanese Pokemon does go up, but
yeah,
when I was buying to hold product my sealed for Japanese, I was buying at £30 to £40 a box.
Yeah.
So if it goes up to £80, brilliant. £100, that's great.
Yeah.
But when you're buying these Japanese boxes for £120, to get that same return, they've got to go to £250. So, not saying they won't get there. I know there's going to be people watching right now that, I know a couple of people right now that have got very, very large amounts of Japanese Pokemon. But yeah, it just makes sense to be buying some English now. Yeah. I'm not saying don't buy Japanese if that's what you collect. Like, I would have ignored people that told me a couple of years ago to buy, when I was buying Japanese and everyone else was buying English. But if you're buying Japanese to hold product as an investment, I'd suggest buying some English right now because, as you said, when they're underprinting these sets because people don't want them. You know, Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash. People didn't want them as much. They weren't printed as much. They printed loads of Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze, and they're the ones that are going to take a little bit longer to get up to the prices.
Yeah, I mean, it's 151. Like, it's not. I'm not saying it's going to crash and stay low forever. It's going to have demand because of the set itself and what the set represents. But in comparison, yeah, like you've got underprinted sets in English that are just sat there that no one's wanting because, you know, their attention's on 151. I think both will do well long term, like, but you've just got more risk involved in short term with 151. So if you're planning to keep for like 5 years, like, it's absolutely fine, right? But if there's a chance that you might need to sell 6 months, 12 months down the line, personally, there's more risk in buying a 151 box for £200 than there is buying the English. You know, I can't see Scarlet and Violet dropping below £95. Like, if it does, maybe it goes to 90. You know, that's a tiny difference. But 151 could get reprinted again and again and again until they come down in price, and you could easily lose 50% of that value short term. But yeah, I think long term both will do fine. But another thing that drives long term growth is that under printed, sort of under demand, low demand sets that people realize down the line, this is actually quite hard to find. Like, this is quite, no one really has this sealed. And when sets get really cheap as well, it's kind of like a kind of snowball effect, because when sets get really cheap, people just buy them to open because it's so cheap to open. You know, there's a lot of people that just want to open packs, whether it's this set, that set, whatever. And when it gets to that price, some people are like, £95, yeah, I'll buy a booster box and just open it. It's not going to be worth anything. It's cheap. No one wants it. It's not going to... And it's just a very easy and cheap way to open a load of packs. So that then affects the fact that there isn't much sealed left because it was underprinted, and the stock that was left was just bought by people opening. The same with the Charizard UPC we spoke about. Like, I think a lot of them ended up getting opened because the price crashed, and then people go, oh, this isn't going to do well. It's got some nice promos in it. I may as well just open it. And then most of them end up getting opened. So, yeah, I mean, either way, it's interesting to see what's going to happen with it. But, yeah, I mean, I get both sides. Like, I get wanting the newest thing because there's an excitement there that isn't there when you buy something that's easily accessible. It feels exclusive, doesn't it? Because it's hard to get.
Yeah, I get it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. So talking about new sets releasing, Avatar and Chainsaw Man, Weiss Schwarz sets just come out.
Yeah, so they had the English exclusive Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I absolutely love to see it. Like, I loved that show when I was younger. So to see them get a set was just, it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I only opened one box because I was selling most of them on my store, so I didn't want to just like wipe out my product myself.
Destroy all the product, yeah.
But I've got a few boxes left, to be fair. But yeah, I think it done really well. It brought a lot of new people to Weiss Schwarz, and whether they just stay for Avatar and then leave, that's absolutely fine. I think that's what I love most about it, is you can just come in and find even just one set that you'll have an attachment to. And then Chainsaw Man in Japanese was released. So yeah, just seeing those cards and opening it, they all look really, really nice. I think as a set, it's really nice. I know a lot of people didn't like some of the more basic designs, but I think they really popped. I really enjoyed it. I know you opened a couple of packs that I sent you. What did you think of the set from what you saw anyway.
Yeah, I mean, a massive fan of Chainsaw Man. We were sort of, we were watching it every week and talking about each episode. The cards look amazing. I think the basic designs look nice. They're simple and they pop. I don't think it's, none of the cards look blurry, which happens a lot in these sets.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of screen grab from the series and just chuck it on a card. The cards look fresh and crisp, and the set's really great. I'll probably end up opening a little bit more. I'm hoping that there's a good supply for the next couple of months. I don't know. I don't know how Weiss works with like how much is going to get printed, because I know it's probably not a top set for them. Just because, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people about Chainsaw Man and they've never watched it, so everyone that has seems to enjoyed it. But I know that it's not a series that a lot of people have. But yeah, great set, honestly. Avatar, I've never watched the series fully through. I mean, Avatar's massive. Everyone knows what Avatar is. The cards look really nice. I will say, like, I've seen openings already before, and it does look great. These both look like fantastic sets that Weiss has done.
Yeah, it was really, really, really nice to see them both. I think they literally came out within like the same week of each other. So, it was a great week for just getting some product and opening some of those sets. But yeah, the Chainsaw Man one, the cards were really crisp. Yeah, I didn't see any screen grabs, but the only downside to Avatar was it was screen grabs. So a lot of it didn't have that crisp look to it, except for the pool cards, like the textured cards and things like that. But I guess it's an old show now, and they probably didn't have any access to any higher quality sort of designs and images that they could have used for them. So, I mean, just in general, I absolutely love seeing it, and actually, it was such a surprise when it was announced sort of last year, I think it was, that they were doing it, because it's such an old show, but it has such a popular fan base, and I think a lot of people loved it. So really, really good to see. Speaking of new sets, there's a set coming out for Flesh and Blood soon, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. The pre-releases are next weekend. Spoiler season's in full swing. Set comes out officially in 2 weeks. So Dusk Till Dawn, the new Flesh and Blood set, 10th expansion. It's a return to Monarch, which is it's a second in a trilogy of sets for Monarch, and it's going to be the first set with serialized cards, which is great. Flesh and Blood doing them. It's going to be very different than everything else that TCGs have done, because every single one of them is going to be hand drawn and individual. So there'll be 10 of each hero, of Prism and I can't remember it begins with a V, the other hero. But there's going to be 10 of each hero, and they're all going to be hand drawn. So they haven't announced them, obviously, because a couple of people asked me what they look like. But I think they're not going to show people them. I think it's going to be a case of when people pull them, that's when we'll see them.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting to see when they come out. Very excited. It's a light versus dark set, which Monarch was. So it's really exciting. The set seems to be very popular so far, just from the demand that I've seen for it.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's really good to see that excitement and demand is there, and it's still going really, really, really well. So, are you going to be stocking this set? I know you've just launched a online store.
Yeah. So I took pre-orders for it, which I've sold out already for. Which I didn't think that was going to happen so quickly. I'm going to try and get some more product, just because I've got a bit of a wait list now. People that actually want more products. I made sure I kept some back so I could open some. So I'll open some for content, and then probably sell a lot of singles on the store as well. So that'll be interesting. It's my first Flesh and Blood set selling on the site, which is great. And it's going to be, it'll be the first time I sell singles, like, on the store for a new set release. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The kind of 6 weeks after the set being released, that's always the most interesting, seeing how prices work. It's going to be very different for me now because I'm not just there as a collector hoping prices go down. I'm going to be selling singles, so it's going to be, trying to price them what cards I think are going to do well long term. So yeah, it'll be great. This set is really a lot of hype around it. Obviously, a 10th set for any TCG is massive. Not many card games get to that, and Flesh and Blood is going from strength to strength.
Yeah, brilliant. It sounds there's a lot for you to take into consideration this time round. Like you said, not just a collector side of things. You have to price up all your singles and see how the market goes. But yeah, I mean, how often's the set releases? Is it sort of every 3 months?
Yeah, it's they've gone for 4 sets a year, so it does make it a bit more manageable.
Yeah.
I mean, most you look at Pokemon, when the set before the sets even come out, they've announced the next set or 2.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, we have, there's speculation of what the next set could be, but we don't have any information for it, which is great because it's, it allows us to enjoy, the spoiler season with Flesh and Blood is very different than other card games. Each different content creators get a specific card sent to them, and they get to spoil them. So they get to make a video about it. They spoil it on their socials. This time round, IGN also got involved, which is, I think, is quite big for Flesh and Blood, for IGN to get involved.
Yeah.
And some bigger content creators that don't just do Flesh and Blood. Some of them have also been gifted spoilers. So it's kind of, it's getting Flesh and Blood out there a little bit more. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah, that's nice that they concentrate on just one next set. I think that gives so much more focus and excitement to a set. Whereas, other TCGs, you're looking God knows how many sets ahead, and you just lose that focus. You can just, I like this set better. Yeah, I'll wait for this one, and just having one ahead at a time is perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect. I think that's all we have today, unless there was anything else you wanted to go over.
No, I think that's it. It's been Magic, and I mean the Lord of the Rings thing took off the big bulk of it, really. But yeah.
I mean, hopefully next week I get my voice back and I don't sound however this is coming out. I don't know how it's going to sound through the microphone, but hopefully I don't sound like this anymore. Also, I just want to let people know that we do have a schedule for the podcast, and each new episode is out every Wednesday at 5 p.m. UK time on YouTube and Spotify. So before it was just sort of as and when, but we have a set schedule every Wednesday, 5 p.m. So if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, drop us a subscribe or follow, and you'll get notified as soon as the new episode is out. So as always, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.